Welcome. In front of me is a OPPO A77, and today I will show you a couple tweaks and tricks you can do on this device. I'm going to start off by opening up our settings, and we're going to navigate to home screen and lock screen. And in here we have a couple different things that at least I find useful, and hopefully you will too. So number one will be the home screen mode. Now I believe some of these options might be visible when you're first setting up your device, but I know that gestures are. I don't know if this was visible. So this allows you to select if your display or home screen precisely has all the apps smack in the middle of it, or if you have an app drawer. Now it looks like app drawer is the default option, but if you want to have like this kind of Apple-like feel where all your apps are on your home screen and you don't have the pull-up app drawer, then you can go with the as it's called standard mode for some reason. Anyway, moving on, we also have the icon pull-down gesture, or aka one-handed mode. Now you do need to enable this, so I'm just gonna enable it. It gives you a nice animation how it actually works, so I'm gonna demonstrate it now. So once we are on our home screen, you can just do this sort of thing. Where is it? Come on. Ah, there we go. So I guess there was not enough icons. Why isn't it working every time? I'm trying to figure out the actual correct way to grab it, because as you can see, it sometimes works, sometimes it does not. That launches Google, so no. Again, Google launched. So it looks like just swiping. There we go. Well, that was my code falling. It looks like just swiping on a bezel of the screen upwards. That's how it activates, which is not necessarily what it's kind of shown like over here. But still, I guess it just takes a little bit of practice to get used to it. But once you do, obviously if you have a full screen full of apps, and this will allow you to quickly access them. And it is pretty useful, as typically the one-handed mode just kind of shifts the entire display downwards and provides you nothing on the top, which is kind of useless. But anyway, let's move over to the next option, which will be the swipe down on the home screen to get your notifications. By default, if you swipe down, you get the search once you actually set it up. So I'm gonna close it, and let's go back, and here we'll have the swipe down on home screen to get notifications. And now when we do this, we get our notification shade, which personally I have more use of that rather than the search. For me, I use typically a different launcher on my phone, which has the built-in search in a different way. So swiping down on my home screen is better to have like the app drawer for me, because I don't have to reach all the way to the top to actually pull it down. And this is really handy. Now moving on to the next option, which was also under the home screen. You swipe down, you have you might be looking for, and you have the system navigation. Here we can choose between the two different navigation styles, either the buttons or the gestures. So I am using gestures, that's what I personally prefer, but obviously if you want to change them up later on, you can choose them right here. Now when it comes down to gestures specifically, you also have these toggles right here, like hide gesture guide bar. As you can see, we have this little bar at the bottom which activates as a indicator on what we're supposed to swipe on. But if you turn that off, it absolutely like hides it, and it gives you the nice and clean look to your device. Now when it comes down to the back gestures like these, they still show up, but obviously they're not visible all the time, only when you activate them. So it adds you, or provides you with this nice cleaner look to your device, which I personally like. Now moving on to the last thing, it's going to be under the display and the brightness, and here we have our schedule dark mode. So by default you can switch between light and dark, but you can tap right here on a schedule, enable it, and set it so it switches automatically based on sunset to sunrise or on a custom timer. And that will allow you to set it up so, for instance, during the daytime it's in light mode, which arguably would be the let's call it a superior way, considering Light mode, I would argue, is easier to see when it's like super bright outside, and dark mode obviously will be nicer to have during nighttime, so you don't get flashbanged by your own device. And down here we also have another option, which is the video color enhancer. And tap on it, and now we do get to just enable it. It doesn't really give us almost anything. Typically you would have some kind of image as a side-by-side comparison, but Apple decided not to include this kind of thing. So I'm just gonna quickly try to explain what it possibly does. It will be very hard to show you, and also to probably see the difference. It's easy to see it once you have a side-by-side comparison, but what it typically does is increases saturation and makes the shadows look a little bit darker, while the light areas are easier to see, and adds a more like poppy image. I don't know how to exactly explain this, but it makes the image, or video specifically, look more appealing by just making it look more vibrant, and the shadows and everything look just more like dynamic. So it does objectively increase the fidelity of the image, as long as you are into that kind of image. If you like your image to be desaturated and just more flat, then you probably want to keep that off. Now, with that being said, this would conclude the tweaks and the tricks that I had for you. So if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.